Enough is enough. I have had it with these monkey-fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
Welcome to the Friday plane. It is Mike Wimacher, joined now by Johnny Molson. Good morning, sir.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
How's your 2024 starting out?
I can't complain. Am I on?
Yeah, you're on. Oh, wait.
I just can't hear him. I need to hear me.
I know you do.
I hear plenty of you. I hear none of me.
There we go. Now you can hear you.
God.
Yeah, that's on me. That's on me.
How else will I know how awesome I sound if I don't hear me in my headphones?
Correct. But 2024 out to a good start?
Yes, the first 5 days have been absolutely flawless.
Have you gotten any of those people like, I can't believe I haven't seen you in over a year?
I have not. I don't associate with those people.
That's true. That's right. We established before New Year's Eve that if anyone says that to you, you just don't associate with them going forward. Well, the start of your year better than this gentleman. This guy is a customer at a Florida Dunkin' Donuts, and he's accused the coffee and donut company of negligence. He brought this lawsuit Wednesday of this week. He claimed that a toilet in the bathroom exploded on him.
Ooh, wow, really?
Yeah, so Paul...
How does that happen?
I don't know. Pressure builds up, I guess. But even if it gets the drain gets clogged that much, it doesn't just explode, right? There's got to be something that's going on with the actual sewer line.
I don't know.
And I don't know if it's on Dunkin' Donuts. So here's what old Paul Kerouac says. He's seeking more, and this seems low. He's seeking more than $100,000 for severe and long-term injuries and emotional and mental distress as a result of being covered in human feces, urine, and debris. That's more than $100,000, isn't it?
Right, yeah. So are we, when you say explode, are we talking porcelain shrapnel?
Possibly. Here's according to court records, employees told the man that they knew about the problem with the toilet from previous incidents.
Oh, wow.
So they're like, you're running your own risk there, bud. There's been some incidents already. The man, quote, requires mental health care and counseling as a direct result of the trauma experience in the restroom at the defendant's business and from continuing trauma found. You could never go into another public restroom again, right?
What I'm really most interested in, and I don't know why, is the amount of time, because your first reaction is, oh my God, something just exploded. And that's very harrowing.
Yes.
And at some point, as the porcelain dust is settling in the bathroom and your ears stop ringing, you also go, my God, something just exploded and I'm covered in poo.
Right.
So at some point it's like a double whammy.
You know what? I never thought of it that way because
of course you didn't.
Because my initial thought was you'd be like, what is dripping all over me? But you're right. The initial shock of an explosion is what first takes you away. Yeah. And then it's after the fact of I'm covered in feces.
The first one is
urine.
Life-threatening. The second one is life-changing.
It certainly is, because now you would be, pardon the pun, you'd be gun-shy to go into any other public restroom. But he's only seeking $100,000. That seems incredibly low for being covered in poop and pee.
Yeah, and they've got all that donut money. They can... They got money.
They got a lot of money there, the old Dunkin'.
Donut money.
They got a lot of Dunkins around there. Now, he also claims that that Dunkin' failed to maintain the toilet. Obviously, someone failed for it to explode like that, or warn him beforehand. But in the lawsuit, though, it does say that employees told the man they knew about the problem with it. When he walks out, covered in poop, and they go, we
finally happened.
Finally happened. We kind of do that.
Call the guy.
Call that guy. I just feel like, man, $100,000, he's aiming too low. Like, there's all these frivolous lawsuits where people are asking for $1 million. Like, I think, isn't there emotional trauma? Some woman is suing Reese's over the pumpkin Reese's, not because of your problem with it, of the wrong kind of equation between. Yeah. No, this one is upset because there was no smiley face on the Reese's, even though they showed it on the package. So there's so many frivolous lawsuits that go for billions of dollars. This guy had an exploding toilet and ended up covered in human waste, and he's only asking for $100,000.
He's got a lousy lawyer.
That's very true. He aimed way too low. You gotta settle for higher. If you had to endure, because then on top of things exploded, now I'm covered in poo. How do you take an Uber home? Do you drive yourself? Like, do you have a friend come bring you more clothes? Like, how do you get home from that situation?
I mean, in my mind, he just went into emotional trauma right there and then.
Oh, you have to.
And probably went into a catatonic state and had to be ambulanced out.
I think that's the only way to go.
I imagine they had to land a helicopter on the Dunkin' Donuts and pull that guy out of there.
Well, and they
wouldn't rubble.
Yeah, and they don't even put him in the helicopter. They just let him hang off the helicopter to kind of air out as they go. And so poor people in the neighborhood get some of it dropped on them as they go.
That's intense. There are people in Gaza right now going, boy, that guy's got it bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in his shoes.
Well, because they're filled with poop. That's why I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. That's nothing but, human feces and urine all over those shoes.
That was a joke, by the way. I don't want to
lighten up, Francis.
I don't want to get your stupid from the river to the sea phone calls. Shut your mouth.
Yeah, we're not going to take any of those. Yeah. It is Mike Wimmacher and Johnny Molson. We will take a break. When we come back, what a wonderful segue. I'm hoping we just... we
are going to talk about the Palestinian conflict?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I want to say, right here and now...
No, we were going to talk about favorite breakfast foods, which is a perfect segue after talking about a guy covered in feces.
Keep a theme going.
Exactly. I'm glad everyone may have just sat down to their breakfast. They're like, I'm going to turn on the radio, see what's going on. Oh, what a wonderful visual of a toilet exploding and a man covered in feces.
Hamburger.
I don't know if I choose that as a favorite breakfast food. A hamburger. That doesn't seem right to me.
With a big old fried egg on top?
Yeah, I guess, but still, I don't think hamburger as a breakfast food. 217-629-7970 is the phone number to join in the conversation. Mike Wimmacher alongside Johnny Molson. And ask Reddit throughout the question of what is your favorite food to eat for breakfast. I guess hamburger could be your answer.
Sure.
But that's not the favorite for me. And I'm trying to think, like, if I have to pick a favorite food for breakfast, unfortunately, a majority of the time, even though we know breakfast is supposed to be the most important meal of the day, isn't the breakfast most just kind of whatever meal of the day? It's like, I'm just going to grab a granola bar, or I'm going to grab this. Like, we don't really put a lot of thought and effort into breakfast on a consistent basis.
It's
just kind of whatever's available. We're like, okay, I know I need to eat something.
Yeah.
I'm just going to grab this.
I'm a protein shake guy.
Oh, look at you boast.
No, I'm not boasting. It's very lazy, but it works.
I used to be a cereal guy.
Yeah.
For the longest time, it was cereal, and then I realized at my age, I shouldn't be eating a combination of Frosted Flakes and Cocoa Krispies together. Probably not the best way to go. But 217-629-7970, what's your favorite breakfast food? If I have time to sit down and kind of put together and plan out a breakfast, I kind of really enjoy like a freshly made waffle.
Oh yeah.
Don't give me the one you put in the toaster. I don't have any use for your Eggos or anything like that. But a nice well-made
waffle.
A nice proper waffle, fresh from a waffle maker.
Yeah.
And I will go a little bit off the board. I will go with Nutella and like fruit on it instead of like the normal syrup.
But you're not a plate of eggs and bacon kind of person or anything like that?
I've never learned that skill of making scrambled eggs. I know it's not difficult.
That's the easiest of the eggs.
I know.
You just make a mess with them.
I've never attempted to make them.
Oh, it's really, of all the eggs you can make.
I know it's the easiest one.
It's the idiot egg.
Yeah, it is the idiot egg.
Yeah.
That's the only one I could attempt to make.
There's somebody right now in their kitchen listening to us making idiot's eggs.
I love how that. Yeah. I'm gonna now. Next time when I go out to breakfast somewhere.
How'd you like your eggs, sir?
I'd like it idiot. What does that mean? Scrambled. It's idiot eggs. Thank you very much. A poached egg is really.
You just walk in and you go.
I see.
They're scrambled.
On Christmas Day.
That's all you do.
On Christmas Day, I made pancakes, and my father-in-law made scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
And no offense to him, I thought, if this guy can do it, I probably can too.
There are people sitting at Sunrise Cafe right now, and they can hear the short order cook through the window going...
Is that why normally it's just the fallback of it always comes with scrambled eggs? Because those are idiot eggs? They're the easiest to make?
Easiest thing you can do.
So let me ask you this. If scrambled eggs is idiot eggs, what are powdered scrambled eggs? Because sometimes you don't get the actual real eggs. You get like the powdered eggs people talk about.
That's gross, yeah.
Okay. So that is that even more idiot than idiot eggs?
I guess. That's terrible, by the way.
Yeah, the powder. You can tell the difference.
I travel a lot now in my current.
Oh, so you're going to get all the different continental breakfasts?
Yeah.
Are you going to give us a review?
The free breakfast you get at the hotels is a platter of very wet powdered eggs because they've been sitting there under that dome.
Yes, it's
with
pretty
the
gross.
condensation dripping down on it.
Is the bacon even done in those half the time? I'm a crispy bake. 217-629-7970. I am like my bacon almost burnt.
Are you?
I got no use for limp bacon.
Yeah, if it's all rubbery and there's kind of a sweet spot between. It has a little life to it, but it has some rigor.
My father-in-law says he wants it crispy, but still pliable enough to wrap around his finger.
Does he do that?
I would hope not, because that seems like you would burn the hell out of your hand.
He's like a kid eating candy. He just pokes it on his finger.
Yeah, it's like, check this. Yeah, whoa. It's
like a kid eating olives.
What's your take on French toast?
Oh, I love French toast.
You do?
That is usually if I'm at a new restaurant that I've never been at before. It's like I got to try your French toast.
Really?
I love French toast.
See, I have no use for French toast.
Why is that?
There's a very small window from it being too soggy and eggy to it being burnt. Like you have to be more vigilant when it comes to your French toast.
You're going to the wrong French places.
Well, I don't go to very many French places. I guess I'm going to the wrong place for French toast. But that's usually, out of all the things I choose, although I will say, I don't mind a French toast that goes off the board. Like a cinnamon roll French toast,
No.
I don't mind that.
I am a master at French toast.
Oh.
Come to my house some Sunday morning. I will make you a French toast that will make your mother cry.
And idiot eggs?
Yeah.
No.
I know how to make eggs. That's the thing.
What's your preferred method?
Over medium.
Okay. What is the difference between over medium? By the way, let's talk eggs.
Yeah.
Now Saturday mornings on WMAY. What's the difference between that and over easy?
Well, over easy, the yolk is still gooey.
Okay. Mediums, you got a little stiff yolk?
Yeah, and the yolk is more solid.
Okay.
Over medium.
Okay. How about poached? I've had poached eggs before.
Those
Those are pretty good on top of my basic ass avocado toast.
Yeah, it's a little too close to raw for me.
It kind of is, but there's something about
even the white is still a little jiggly.
Yeah, there's something about just the satisfaction though of the yolk going all over and kind of integrating into the rest of the avocado toast.
Yeah, with the right toast and you need some dipping yolk.
You do need some dipping yolk.
If you got some nice toast there, and you want some extra yolk running down the side. For dipping.
Exactly. You need a little dipping yolk. 217-629-7970. What is your favorite breakfast food? As a kid, it was always cereal.
I can't imagine like Gordon Ramsay tuning in right now and going, "This is ridiculous!
Yes.
I cannot believe what they're saying."
Just go make me some idiot eggs, Gordon. Get back there and do something worthwhile.
All right.
Growing up, we didn't really. It was pretty much cereal, and my mom would make. I didn't really do fast food breakfast growing up because my mom was just like, "Why am I going to pay for stuff that I could probably make?" And as I got older, I started fast food. Have you ever had? I've never had a Taco Bell breakfast though. I've never been gutsy enough to go to Taco Bell and try the Taco Bell breakfast. I just don't know what I'm in for.
You got to live for that for the rest of the day.
Right. That's the thing about
escape.
it. Now if I go to an actual Mexican restaurant. And for a brunch or something, chilaquiles, the breakfast nachos, as it were, delicious. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know if I can extrapolate that into Taco Bell and expect the same kind of quality product. Hi, you're on WMAY.
Has to be ham and cheese omelet.
A ham and cheese omelet, just the tried and true.
I hate grape nuts. Why do they have that cereal?
Grape nuts are rough, man.
Yeah, I don't know why that is even considered a cereal. They're just like, I don't know, we got all this leftover crap that we couldn't put in anything else. Let's just throw it in a bowl of milk.
Man, there's no way to make grape nuts work.
No, there isn't. Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, grape nuts are terrible. That and Mueslix was also bad, too.
Yeah, I'm going to sound 79 years old when I say this, but I really like oatmeal.
I've never had enough. There's a texture problem for me with oatmeal. I've seen it, and it's just so gloopy and just kind of.
Again, you got to go to the right oatmeal places. You got to get. You got to get
not just the instant oatmeal that you make, not the Quaker, not the
instant
Quaker
oatmeal is terrible.
Not the Quaker
not
oats.
Instant. Some proper. You make some Quaker oats, but not the instant or the quick oats. You've got to get the. It's so funny because they're called quick oats or instant oats or anything. Even making them from oats is like a 5-minute process. It's not.
But Johnny, I don't have time for that. I got to get out the door. I want do you just so do you flavor it on your own, like throw different things in, or do you prefer like, I don't know, the apple cinnamon or the maple or whatever the hell, different flavors?
I said oatmeal.
Why did that involves
oatmeal and I'll put some cranberries in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
nice.
you got a little something, because just
Maybe
oatmeal itself seems like eating baby food. That's what I always see. It just seems like baby food.
It's got to be done right. It's got to be done right.
All right.
Man, no wonder you don't like breakfast.
Yeah.
You've been eating idiot breakfast.
I've been eating, for a very long time, I've been eating idiot breakfast. Don't get me started on the Nutri-Grain bars that I eat sometimes for breakfast.
like a hamster.
Yeah, exactly. I made the mistake one time. I thought I was grabbing apple cinnamon. I grabbed apple carrot.
Why is that a combination?
I have no idea.
There shouldn't be a flavor.
But I felt like I got my fruit and vegetables, and I felt healthy because it's got Nutra in the name.
That's true.
So there you go. It is Mike Wimacher and Johnny Molson. Take a break for news. When we come back, we will also revisit childhood of commercials that have stuck with you. Things that...
Clap on, clap off, clap on, clap off, the clapper.
Let you turn things on or off from anywhere in the room. Just plug in the clapper and a television.
Plug in the clapper.
Almost anything you want to clap on and off.
Clap on, clap off, clap on, clap off, the clapper.
That old lady just sitting in her bed, clapping there at the end.
She always looked mad.
Yeah, she was always upset that she had to get up and clap. It is Mike Wimacher and Johnny Molson here on WMAY, 217-629-7970. The reason why I played that is the question at hand that Reddit threw out there is, what commercial has stuck with you since childhood? At 217-629-7970, the phone number. And the clapper was one of the ones that originally came to mind for me, because not only is it catchy, does it stick in your mind, but it was that old lady, and just the way she clapped so oddly too. She'd be like everyone didn't clap normal in that commercial for the clappers. They had a weird way of clapping, so it stuck with me all the time.
Yeah, I work with somebody who makes an interesting point that commercials, songs, movies, they are a way that we mark time. And so there is a thing when you find something like that on YouTube where you go that, and a lot of it is these really weird off commercials. It's, we all remember like the big, the jingles and McDonald's commercials and everything. But it is these weird sort of midday commercials like the clapper or anything that has an 800 number attached to it.
Yeah. Well, do you remember? And 217-629-7970. Want to hear from you. Commercials that have stuck with you since childhood. To the same point of...
It might be one with me in it.
It could very well be for some people. Drive safely now. Yeah. But similar to the clapper, which is still a product that you can purchase places, Chia Pet. Yeah. Like, whenever I walk by... and happen to see as seen on TV aisle at a certain drugstore, and there's Chia Pet. I don't know about you, but I immediately start going chia.
They're all
I mean, it strikes a chord with you.
There is something about those really cornball, and I think that must be what it is, because it's such an oddball product that you're just drawn to. It's not something that you need. You don't need a clapper or a Chia Pet or a Pocket Fisherman or any of the Popeil stuff.
Right.
But it's so bizarre, you have to look at it.
Some of the other examples, 217-629-7970, want to hear from you. Commercials stuck with you since childhood. One that I had forgotten about is the I am stuck on Band-Aid brand because Band-Aid stuck on me. I had forgot about that until I saw that someone had brought that one up, and it was sung by kids and in an off tone and just tonally just not even there. But when you say that, I immediately go back in time and go, I remember seeing that watching Saturday morning cartoons.
That reminds me of that's one of them, two different slogans that evolved over the years because the Johnson & Johnson discovered that Band-Aid became a generic name, that anything was a Band-Aid.
Right.
So it didn't matter if you got Curad, you were getting a Band-Aid. And so the original jingle was just "I'm stuck on Band-Aid because Band-Aid stuck on me," and then they thought, well, here's how we'll differentiate from the other ones. We'll say Band-Aid brand. So you've got to ask for it by name.
Right, exactly. I want a Band-Aid.
And the other one, real quick, people might remember go ahead and get this, was Ace Hardware, which was originally the place with the helpful hardware man. And people said, oh, how dare you? How dare you? And then it became helpful hardware man, and then this dumb woman would come and go, and women.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And then it just became folks or something stupid.
Yeah, it is, the folks. Hi, you're on WMAY.
Hey, 588-2300.
Empire. Yeah, the Empire guy. He was that one stuck with us. Appreciate the phone call. 217-629-7970.
And that caller recognized, did it without the 800 and without today at the end of it. Because the original was just
five.
It was just a Chicago thing.
Yeah,
before it became a national.
Yeah, the guy with the mustache, and he'd come in and check out your flooring. But what are some commercials that stuck with you since childhood? Another example given. I've fallen and I can't get up. And that falls into that category of Chia Pet, Clapper, the Life Alert bracelet of I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah, and there's this weird kind of homemade feel to these commercials. They don't look like Madison Avenue.
No,
they're
they
really
never
kind of clunky.
Yeah.
The actors are bad.
Oh, always.
And for some reason that just sticks with us.
If you grew up in the Chicago area, there was the one with Eagle Man, which you want to talk about homemade and terrible. That one, but it still sticks with you. You're like, oh, Eagle Man.
Yeah.
Hi, you're on WMAY.
Good morning to both of you. Yes, big cartoon kid. So how about the Honeycomb Hideout?
Oh, that's right.
I wanted one of those.
Who didn't want a honeycomb hideout?
Yeah. I wanted a treehouse, and I wanted it to be a honeycomb hideout.
Right, exactly.
Seemed like the coolest thing in the world.
And I still, to this day, know the jingle. I think we all do.
I didn't even want to attempt it, so I'll let you go ahead there, Mike.
Okay, well, honeycomb's big.
Honeycomb's big.
Yeah. It's not small. Take a caller.
I got to hang up.
Oh, boo. It was like Christmas Vacation. Take it, Russ. La, la, la. There's certain commercials so Lucky Charms, right? We know magically delicious. It sticks with us. But there was one of them that was set in prehistoric times, and the caveman said they're ooga mega igga jigga.
What?
Yeah,
that was a slogan.
Yeah, and then they would say, "Oh, that means magically delicious."
No kidding.
Yeah, I'll have to find that one during the break.
I don't recall that at all.
But every once in a while, I remember that one.
Yeah.
And my wife just looks at me like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Trust me, it was a thing." And the other one too that she looks at me sideways about was the "Don't you feel good about 7-Up."
Yes.
I still remember that one from back in the day.
Never will.
Yeah, exactly.
And you think about the amount of commercials we're exposed to as kids. I mean, we're exposed to a lot of them anyway.
Right.
But kids are just transfixed.
Yes.
And every toy, every hubba bubba, every piece of cereal, everything is just in our brains until we die. It will be there until we die.
Another one that they brought up was Where's the Beef? That was a big one. And, of course, to that end, if I start to say, to all beef patty special sauce.
Lettuce, cheese, 2 pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
See, boom. You just know that kind of stuff.
That's been gone for a long time.
Yeah, but we still, you hear, it just takes you right back. And the other one is the We Wear Short Shorts from Nair. Remember that?
Oh, Nair. Okay, I was trying to remember what the product was.
Yeah. So that Nair. And, of course, the quintessential one, the first thing people come to mind with commercials that's stuck with you since childhood, My Baloney.
Yep.
Everyone knows which one that one is. Hi, you're on WMAY.
Good morning. Unless I haven't heard, how about the one we're all missing here? The Oscar Mayer Wiener song.
Oh, yeah. We just did the My Baloney. Yeah.
Wish I were an Oscar Mayer.
Yeah.
Oh, you did that one? I missed
No.
We were talking about baloney.
Yeah, we did the Baloney one. My Baloney had a first name, but yeah, Oscar Mayer had a couple of them that you would remember.
Oscar Mayer really put out the hits.
They did. They had their own greatest hits album of commercial jingles from the Oscar Mayer Corporation. So,
and I want to say, I could be wrong about this. I want to say the Oscar Mayer jingle was, I don't know, was it written by Neil Diamond or
one of them
Barry
was,
Manilow or something? I mean, there's a weird...
Manilow wrote a ton of them.
I think Manilow wrote Band-Aids.
Oh, did he really?
I'm pretty sure that was a Manilow.
Did he also write By Menon?
Yeah.
Hi, you're on WMAY.
This is one that stuck out with me is the baby back ribs from Chili's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that also made this list of you can't hear baby back and not start singing that.
So here, check this out.
Appreciate the phone call.
Here are some of Barry Manilow's jingles. He wrote "Like a Good Neighbor." He's still getting money off of that.
Okay.
Stuck on Band-Aid. You Deserve a Break Today from McDonald's.
Oh, that campaign for a while
several,
there. Incarnations ago.
Yeah. Randy Newman wrote "I'm a Pepper, You're a Pepper."
Oh,
He's a
which
Pepper,
about
she's a
these two?
Pepper. Yeah.
Dr. Pepper, we didn't say that one. Tricks Are for Kids is another one that will stick in my mind forever.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So, and any Cocoa Pebbles ones, because of the Flintstones were always involved with Fred and Barney.
Doesn't it amaze you that Cocoa Pebbles and Fruity Pebbles is still I don't know where I could watch if I wanted to watch the Flintstones right now, where would I see it?
Yeah, Boomerang maybe. I don't even know if that's still a thing from Cartoon Network. But yeah, yet they're still out there hawking the Cocoa and Fruity Pebbles. You're not wrong on that. It is Mike Whitmacher alongside Johnny Molson. We will take a break. We come back. We started the hour. It is Mike Whitmacher, Johnny Molson with you here this morning on this Friday, January 5th. I found the Lucky Charms commercial, by the way.
Oh, this is the caveman Lucky Charms?
Yeah, this is the caveman one. So we'll give that a listen before we get into my bathroom dilemma.
We'll get it, Lucky Charms, this time.
Time? That's it. I'll make a time tunnel and go back in time with me Lucky Charms. The crunchy old cereal with a rainbow of marshmallows.
So he used the time tunnel to get away from these kids. He's running through the tunnel. And now he's in prehistoric times.
I see. This is back when commercials were quieter.
Yes.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. Guess the time ran out. Frosted Lucky
Wait for it.
Charms, a historic part of this nutritious breakfast.
Ooga mega liga diga.
See, they're Ooga Mega Iga Jigga.
So stupid.
And that was from 1987. 10-year-old me, it has stuck with me for the next 36 years that it was Ooga Mega Iga Jigga.
Wow.
I still, to this day, can recite those exact words.
Rolls off the tongue.
It really kind of does. It's very catchy. I don't know why it didn't stick around for more than just that single commercial, to be honest with you. 217-629-7970 is the phone number. Here is the dilemma I had with a public restroom. A place that I frequent from time to time, the wife and I, a restaurant. It has a situation with the men's bathroom where you have a urinal and a toilet. But there's no separation between. It's an open space room with urinal.
That should never happen.
Toilet and then sink. Now, here's the thing, and here's my dilemma. 217-629-7970.
Are you guys eating at a gas station?
No, we are not. There is a lock on the door to once you go in, you can lock it behind you, which I always do.
Sure.
But the dilemma is, technically, there is a situation to arise where if someone else needed to go number one, there is another option for them to do so. So I guess my dilemma, 217-629-7970, is, am I being a jerk for locking behind me when, if someone had an emergency that really needed to go, they could not get in, even though there is a secondary option for them to use in that particular room?
And what you're trying to prevent is somebody coming in and dropping trow and sitting down.
I'm trying to prevent there are those individuals who get a little too familiar and would probably do that.
And in the reverse, if you were in that situation, if you're in the number two situation,
you got to lock number two.
You've got to lock the door. Because, my God, how vulnerable is that when somebody swings the door open and there's no stall?
Yeah, so I think the dilemma is that if it's a number two that I would be doing, that's an automatic lock, I think. I think everyone can universally agree, and 217-629-7970, if you'd like to chime in on this, I think everyone can universally agree a number two is an automatic lock. But my situation is I've never number two, it's always number one, and while I lock it, I kind of feel somewhat guilty because there is an opportunity, there is another empty vessel for someone to use. But I don't know even if I were to walk in and someone was at the urinal, if I really had to go, I would probably still wait for them to exit said just single room.
I've got two things, and I can solve your problem.
Okay.
All right.
Lay it on me.
Number one, this restaurant needs to be shut down.
Okay.
There's no excuse for that.
Okay.
I don't even think women would want there to be open stalls. Just toilets.
Just an open toilet there?
Right? That'd be crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, they're giving you the lock option. Okay, so that's one.
So here's the solution.
Okay.
When you go in, go for the toilet. That way you've blocked a number 2.
Oh, okay.
And the only thing that can happen is somebody else comes in with a number 1.
Okay. That's
the solution.
That is interesting. That's an interesting solution there.
See, by using the urinal, you've left yourself open to the possibility that somebody might come in and take a crap.
If I decide to keep it open instead of locking it, despite being number 1, choose toilet over urinal.
You got to block the toilet.
Gotcha. Hi, you're on WMAY.
How you doing, calling about the urinal? I believe that the restaurant, if there's a lock on the door, that's indicating that is for individual use. So you can go in there. It's the person. What are they going to be using? The urinal or the stool? So anytime you've got a lock on the bathroom door like that, and you have those 2 options that are there, other than the stall doors. It's designed for individual use.
So you're saying it's dealer's choice if you want company or not?
Absolutely, absolutely. Otherwise, the bathroom would have been created larger, which gave the option of stools with doors and multiple use. But you've got a door that's got a lock on it, and that was how it was designed for individual use. My opinion.
Okay, yeah, I you know what? I think you're onto something there because, when you go into a public restroom and has multiple choices, there's no lock on the door. Usually the lock on the door is only for the single use.
My guess is, in fairness to the restaurant, is there probably was a stall at one time and they had to remove it for wheelchairs.
Oh, could be.
When ADA happened.
That could be.
And it's still a terrible situation. They should have just remodeled the whole bathrooms.
Hi, you're on WMAY.
Good morning. I think Johnny hit upon part of what I was going to say. Also, I think it might screen universal bathroom for whatever gender. And, you have people who will sit, you have people who will stand. And to me, that screams individual use when you have a lock on the door.
Yeah.
And they can not have to have multiple bathrooms for different genders. And like Johnny said, you can have one bathroom that would serve the disabled as well. So to me, it sounds like just a cheap place.
The place needs to be shut down.
Appreciate the phone call. And I think, you know what? I think we stumbled upon a couple of things. One, if you want dealer's choice, you got to make sure you're covering the throne and not allowing that to be a possibility for anyone who may enter upon it. But if there's a lock on the door, just lock it, and you don't feel bad about it.
And now, something to think about during the news is you walk in, everything's occupied except for the handicap stall. Is it fair game?
Yeah, I think so.
We won't solve that problem now.
No, not today. That's for a different conversation.
Send cards and letters to your congressman.
Yes, exactly. I think that's acceptable.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always interesting. We'll have another discussion on just the openness of restrooms, because it's always interesting of when there's at sporting events or wherever it may be, there's always the line just goes for the urinal and stalls remain open, even though you can use it for the same thing.
That doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, it doesn't. For some reason, we just all stand there and go, well, I don't know. There may be somebody coming in with a blowout, and I don't want to be. It is WMAY. Mike Wimacher, Johnny Molson with you here on this Friday morning. 217-629-7970 is the phone number. Probably should have been more prepared for the top of the hour here.
Why?
Because now I'm searching for what I wanted to talk about. Here it is. Once again in Florida. This is kind of scary. This invasive frog is now permeated into Georgia. It's a frog that can grow as big as a human hand and will eat anything that fits in its mouth. So think about that just for a moment, if you will. First of all, a frog as big as your hand, and then it'll eat anything that fits in its mouth. It does not care if it is animal, vegetable, mineral. If it fits in the mouth, it just chomps down on it. The State's Department of Natural Resources started documenting the Cuban tree frog in the area in 2023 because they could cause major ecological damage.
Okay.
They said one wildlife official said the frogs probably are being transported. They're accidentally in breeding and retention ponds or standing water in the ditches. They may be coming from Florida, where the population is also growing to invasive levels. Native to Cuba, the Bahamas, and Cayman Islands, a Cuban tree frog can measure more than 6 inches long. Their colors vary from gray to bronze to olive green, and they have noticeably large toe pads. Can you imagine happening upon a frog? Just think about that for a moment. Happening upon a frog as big as your hand, and then seeing it, I don't know, eating a squirrel. If it can get its mouth, anything that fits in its mouth, it eats. Wouldn't that be a little jarring and disturbing to see a frog just go whoa and just eat like a rat or a mouse or something?
Yeah, this reminds me of the Australian cane toads, which they brought to Australia, I think, to eradicate some other pest that was going on. They thought, we'll bring some toads here. The toads will eat these mosquitoes or whatever they were.
Right.
And everything will be fine. Well, the problem is there's nothing in Australia that kills these toads.
Oh, no.
And so you talk about an invasive species. A buddy of mine lives down there, and he said you'll be driving home at night, and you'll hear under your wheels, pop, 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 pop,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, when they do their migrating or whatever, where you see those pictures of them all over a road, like the road is just covered in toads.
Yeah, and like you're driving through a pile of leaves or something. You're trying to keep your car on the road because you're driving through toad.
Oh God! No, thank you.
Killing them along the way. It's like, my God.
I'm just thrown off. Like, it's just so bizarre of some of these species there that we have never seen.
Yeah.
And then to just happen upon that out of like the first time someone sees that, how do you then convey that to your neighbor or whatever? Be like, I just saw a frog, a toad the size of my hand. And you go, what are you talking about? Yeah, and it was eating a mouse. Like, what? Get the hell out of here, eating a mouse.
I think we have our sights set in the wrong direction. I mean, on one hand, yes, it's terrible when animals go extinct, and we don't want that to happen. But then there's all these other things just being invented or that we don't even know about yet that find their way in. It's like, all right, nature, knock it off.
Can you imagine?
You've done plenty.
Can you imagine living in Florida where they have, the iguanas that fall out of the trees when it gets too cold?
Yeah.
And can you imagine waking up one morning, maybe a little bit on the chilly side, an iguana falls from a tree, and the next thing you know, you got this toad going, well, there's free lunch.
And I've said it before, this is my biggest argument for living in the Midwest.
Very true.
Nothing particularly weird here. You get your occasional raccoon or a...
That's not weird, though.
Garden snake or something, but nothing alarming. Lives around here. There's really nothing terribly alarming.
You're not going to have to worry about frozen animals falling from a tree on you. To your point, you're not going to have to worry about toads as big as your hand eating whatever they can fit in their mouth.
If there's a spider in your house, it's not a life-threatening situation.
Like in Australia, where they have the giant hand-sized spider.
Wherever tarantulas live.
Yes, in the deserts.
Scorpions or something.
You make a great point. The Midwest is kind of devoid of all that. You're much safer from nature.
I mean, I'm down in Texas a handful of times a year, and it's not uncommon that there'll just be a scorpion. It's like, knock it off.
Get out of here,
That sucks.
Yes, that's not good. The worst.
I found them in bathtubs before.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, and in Florida, you have the iguana in the toilet or a snake coming out of the toilet. You got alligators going everywhere.
Yeah, why everyone doesn't live here, I don't know.
Yeah. We get all these news stories about the mass exodus. You should be coming in here. What's the worst going to happen? A skunk is going to maybe spray you?
Right. That's like the biggest ad campaign I think the state of Illinois could do. Is like, come here, there's nothing weird. It's pretty much predictable. You're not going to run into anything strange.
They should play that like horror movie music. Be like, do you want to live where a lizard can bite you on the toilet?
I don't need that hassle.
Exactly. Or do you want to live where a scorpion can sting you in the shower? Come to Illinois. Come to the Midwest.
It's like, there's a spider. All right.
Yeah,
anyway, on with my day.
Exactly. Moving on. That's the worst that's going to happen.
Call the authorities.
Or a raccoon getting in your garbage is about the worst thing that can happen to you.
But it's not, nobody's died.
Right. That we know of as of yet. Hi, you're on WMAY.
So, random story, of course. So, a raccoon actually came into my grandma's garage, and while they were prepping one of their freezers, it fell in and got shut.
Oh, no.
And so, with that, my grandma then proceeds to go into the freezer and actually put stuff in it now since it's newly frozen. And there is a raccoon standing up in the corner, frozen.
Wow.
And needless to say, she didn't die that day.
So this thing tumbled in or jumped in when she wasn't looking?
I guess. I am not really sure what happened. She just said that she was setting up a new freezer. And, this is, of course, just random granny stories.
Right.
But, yeah, and apparently it got in, and the inertia or momentum or whatever, the force whenever it made that thud into the freezer,
shut it down.
Shut it down, and he lived maybe, another couple hours, and because Grandma just went back inside, because of course, back then the freezers were out in the garage.
Yeah, right. You wouldn't even think about it. I love the fact that it was standing up, like it was trying to get out, and it's like, damn
in my mind, he's trying to push the lid open.
Yeah,
and
same here.
He just doesn't have enough raccoon muscles to do it, and he froze in place.
And in my mind, it turned into a table inside the home. He stayed in the same way that way.
Taxidermy? No, we don't need any taxidermy. That sucker's frozen.
Right, that's true.
But yeah, instead of the story of Florida man or Florida woman, just random trash panda freezes itself.
Thank you very much for the phone call. That is EJ, by the way, where he's going to go by Irvy Jr. is what we're calling him now. EJ on the radio. So appreciate that story there. That's awesome. Maybe the worst that can happen is you get a frozen raccoon in your freezer here in the Midwest. It is Mike Wimmacher and Johnny Molson. We'll take a break. When we come back, you found an interesting question from Ask Reddit.
Hamburger.
It is Mike Wimmacher and Johnny Molson with you here on this Friday morning, January 5th. Thanks for tuning in to WMAY. I do appreciate it. Don't forget, new episode of the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast will be coming your way later on today.
Love it.
So find it wherever you find your podcasts. And like, share, and subscribe. Comment below. All that stuff.
So this came to mind a few years ago. My daughter was pretty young, and we were watching a movie, and one of the characters says, I can't get through to the person, his phone's off the hook. And
I'm sure that threw them for a loop.
And she turns to me and says, what does phone off the hook mean? And it never occurred to me. So think about what you have to do at that point. First you have to explain a dial tone.
Correct.
And why that's a thing.
There's actually...
You have to explain a busy signal.
Well, it's funny you mention that because when I'm on QLZ, there is a song at the end of it is a busy signal that plays at the end of it. I'm like, and it's a newer song. It's not an old song. Right. I was like, how does this artist even know about a busy signal or even a dial? Like, when was the last time you heard a dial tone?
Yeah, I always know I'm dealing with an amateur commercial writer when they include a record scratch, and then somebody says something wacky, and then there's a rip of a. It's like that's not a sound that happens anymore.
No.
So the question then becomes, okay, what is something from the 80s or 90s where if you said them to somebody today, they would go, I have no frame of reference. And just to give you some examples, things like nights and weekends minutes. There was a time where you had to
I forgot about that.
You had to plan long-distance calls around the time of day when it was a bargain.
I remember that before I got, and this was even the early 2000s when I first got a cell phone. It was a track phone, so you had to pay, for your minutes. Yeah. And you're right. It was one of those things of but nights were free. So I would have to wait to check in with my parents or whatever. It'd be like Sunday night, you would have to wait to call till like 8 p.m. so that you didn't burn your minutes from your track phone. But now we think about that. First of all, when's the last time we called somebody? Because you're just texting or sending instant messages. But when was the last time you'd have to wait to be like, oh, I can't, there's something big happening, but I got to wait 4 hours to call you so I don't get charged extra money.
You had to plan your calls, or even the fact that then there was that chunk of time when there were, 5 different long-distance phone companies, and you would put in a secret code to get that rate. Yeah. I mean, it was just bananas. It was absolute. None of it makes sense anymore.
Dial-up. Would dial-up modem mean anything to anyone anymore? Does anyone actually use a dial-up modem anymore?
Or just the idea of saying, hey, get off the internet, I need to make a phone call. None of that. None of what I just said makes any sense right now.
Or get off a phone, I need to get on the internet.
Right.
That also would not make sense to them.
Absolutely nonsense. That's complete nonsense.
217-629-7970 is the phone number. What are some of those things that from back in the day that you were to say to someone today, they'd look at you like you have an arm growing out of your head?
you remember getting fined if you didn't rewind a tape before you?
Oh my God!
You would get like a $2 fine.
Do you remember when you would have to buy a item that was specifically just for rewinding tapes? Did you ever have that?
Oh yeah, because you didn't want to burn out your machine.
You didn't want to burn out your own VCR, so you had to eject the movie after you watched it, then put it in another machine to rewind all of it, then put that thing in the box, then drive back to the place where you rented the particular movie, and to get, to your point, fined if it wasn't rewound.
And by the way, I don't know anybody who burned up their VCR just by rewinding a tape. That was the thing, was that you were going to...
you're going to burn out...
You were going to lessen the lifespan of your VCR by rewinding, the thing that it does naturally.
And I can't believe my parents fell for that dupe of buying the rewinder. And then it's like, oh, nope. Because I remember I made the mistake one time when we first got the rewinder, and I had been accustomed to just rewinding in the VCR, and so we watched whatever movie it was, and I went to rewind in the VCR, and I got the stop. What do you mean? What am I doing? We bought the rewinder now.
Rewinder.
Hi, you're on WMAY.
But what did your rewinder look like? Was it a car? Was it an actual...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was. We got the car one. We got the car one. You pushed in. Yeah.
Well, and what I ended up finding out, because my parents did that, they just sent it off. If you break the tape, you had to buy it.
Oh, that's right. And it was like $80 for, depending on what you rented.
It was a fortune to buy a movie.
It was.
Yeah. But of course, all the movies they rented were little kid shows. They were like, $10 or whatever. But yeah, so if you broke it, obviously, you break it, you buy it.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to ruin the tape, so they never rewound it and paid the extra 50 cents, because then they had the car at the
that's right,
Blockbuster, and so they did it anyway. It just took an extra 45 seconds.
Interesting. Appreciate the phone call there, EJ.
I don't want to brag, but there was a time in my life when I worked at Blockbuster.
Ooh, you made it through the process? I never was chosen.
And it was at this strange gap in time where if you had a Blockbuster card from the Blockbuster that was at South Grand and 5th, it didn't work at the Blockbuster that was at North Grand and 5th, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you had your own specific store Blockbuster card.
And I remember getting lectured by this guy saying, with an Ethernet cable, and you can network these things together with the thing so that the thing will work. It's like, I'm just
working here. Did you get your own shelf at some point?
Take your Lady Chatterley's Lover video and get the hell out of here.
Sylvia Crystal and Beauty School. Did you get your own shelf ever? Like the employee pick? Like this was Johnny's pick?
I think that was before me.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, that's too bad. I'm trying to think of some other things.
Somebody just the other day mentioned watching the Tom Hanks movie, You've Got Mail. Mm-hmm. And it suddenly occurred to me, it's like there was a point of time where you got email so infrequently that a voice would have to come out of your computer to tell you that you have email.
That's very true.
Could you imagine now?
No.
Where you get 5 emails a minute?
You've got mail. You've got mail.
Shut up.
With all the spam. Boner pill. Like, you'd have to have different one going on there.
Like it had to tell you so that you could go look and see what kind of mail you got.
One I think of right off the top of my head would be like, I would always, there was a certain sliver of time that if I were to say this to you now, you would look at me like I have a third arm coming on my forehead. Mm-hmm. Sorry, can't hang out. Got to work on my paper on my word processor.
Yeah.
Which was a kind of the in-between a typewriter and a computer. It was the word processor. All it did was...
It was a machine by itself.
Yeah, it was a machine by itself where you would just type into. It didn't go on the internet. No. It did not have games. It didn't have anything. It just, you didn't have to replace it. It would be hooked up to a printer, and you would have your word processor, and then you put a disk in, and you would save your work.
There are a couple of things that I think we still say reflexively, and I don't know that it still gets said, but I don't think anybody puts any definition to it, is dial the phone. As if there was a round dial that you were twisting, is where that comes from. And also roll down the window. Roll down your, and again.
That's in a long time since you rolled it down. You just hit a button.
Where there was a thing that you had to put your hand on and twist and crank.
Crank it all the way down.
To physically roll you would turn rollers to make the window go down. And we still say that, but nobody's actually rolling anything down or dialing anything.
No.
You don't even touch numbers on your phone. There's a name and you hit it and off it goes.
Yeah, can you imagine telling people to remember a phone number? Mm-hmm. Like to either write it down and have a Rolodex or to actually from memory. When was the last time from memory you made a phone call to someone?
Oh, just from remembering their number?
Yes.
Yeah.
To not pulling up like in your contacts and just hitting call. When was the last time you physically were like, okay.
No.
Now it's different when you like have to call a business that you don't normally call. But when was the last time of someone you actually were like, okay, I'm going to dial in their number from memory?
Yeah. If somebody dropped me in Siberia and I had to call my children, I don't know their phone number.
You don't know your kid's phone number?
I don't know my children's phone numbers.
Oh my goodness. I know my wife's phone number and I know my phone number, but I don't know my sister's phone number.
Yeah, the only number...
I would be screwed. I have no idea what my sister's phone... I could call my house when I was a young kid, and someone would answer there and be like, sorry, no one lives here that you know anymore because you sold this house.
Yeah.
I know that phone number.
I know my ex-wife's phone number because... it was a phone number from a time when you had to know phone numbers.
Right. I remember there was a time when I first started dating my wife 20 years ago where I was she was still in college. I was completely inebriated, but somehow I managed to crawl because I heard her on an answering machine. There's another thing that people have no idea what it was. Like, yeah, they call
machine.
Yeah, a machine that would pick up the phone for you.
Think of what a weird phrase that is. Answering machine.
Yes.
That's just
a machine.
When you think about that from the eyes of somebody who's 20 right now, that is a bizarre concept.
That blows their mind. But I was able to, by memory, not only remember the 1-800 number to go to the calling card. There's another thing.
The calling card.
And then I knew the calling card code and her phone number, all while inebriated. Hi, you're on WMAY.
Hello. Yeah, it's crazy the amount of numbers as a kid, you can remember that you had to remember. Especially like if you went to jail. You got one call,
yes.
And you had to know a number to call. I don't know how that works now.
I don't know either.
In a long time since,
Can I still make a collect call? Is that a thing? Can I make a collect call?
I don't know how that works, but
I don't know either.
When I use those old phone numbers, because, you remember all your friends' phone numbers because you kept them forever, like you said, Mike, till you moved out of them or the house got tore down.
Yep.
You kept that number forever. So as a child, you remember all your friends' phone numbers, right?
I'm not entirely sure what happens now if you dial 0. Is there an operator there?
We'll try it.
Okay.
We'll try it after the break.
But what happens is, those numbers I find handy for making up passwords these days.
I didn't think of that.
No one else going to remember them. I mean,
you are a savvy SOB.
Yeah, you are. God, there's a hot tip here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. There you go.
Appreciate the phone call. You finally learned something listening to us, two idiots. You could use those old phone numbers for your password.
You could choose to sit in an area where people smoked. That was a thing you used to be able to do.
That's right.
You could deliberately
smoking or
say,
non-smoking.
I would like to sit.
And I always love to be like a 5-foot difference. Be like, I prefer non-smoking.
No difference.
I prefer non-smoking, and then the smoke would still waft in there.
No such thing.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will talk about this Harvard psychologist has put together 9 questions that if you... I don't know, when I hear this particular... I feel like there needs to be like a recap of last week on The Golden Bachelor.
Right.
A rose was that's what it sounds like in the background. It is Mike Wimmacher and Johnny Molson with you here on this Friday morning, reminding you that Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts, new episodes drop every Friday. So a Harvard-trained psychologist has put together a list of 9 questions that they say if you answer yes to any of these, you're more emotional secure than most people.
Okay.
All right. So we'll go through these 9 questions quickly. Play along at home. If you answer yes to any one of them, you're more emotional secure than most people are. All right. Number 1, can you listen to different perspectives you disagree with?
Yes.
Yeah, I can too. I think that's a problem a lot of people have is we can't. So I can listen to them. Doesn't mean I agree with them.
Right.
But I can at least listen to them.
But you also don't lose your marbles either. That's the thing. That's the thing that's so bizarre right now is if just another opinion exists, people have pitchforks and torches.
Yeah, and by the way, listen to all of that starting at 9 a.m. here on WMAY.
Which is exactly what happens for the rest of the broadcast day.
Two of the biggest people, Clay and Buck. Number 2, remember, if you answer yes to any of these, you're more emotionally secure than most people. So they're already doing better than most.
I already feel great, yeah.
Number 2 is, can you set healthy boundaries? They say emotional security is associated with knowing yourself and setting limits based on your values. Consequently, emotionally secure people can articulate how they want to be treated and set guidelines for how they will respond if those boundaries are not respected.
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't.
If I'm being honest.
If I'm being honest,
I'm not fully sure I understand what that means, but I don't think I can.
I sometimes let things creep in more than they probably should. Here is, can you admit when you're wrong? I can. I'm more wrong than I am right half the time. So that's pretty easy for me. In fact, my default setting is I'm wrong.
Right.
So I can definitely admit when I'm wrong because I rarely think that I'm right. Number 4. Do you know your core values and beliefs? That seems like a bunch of buzzwords. Do I know my core what am I, a corporation? Here at the Mike Winmacher Corps, my core values and beliefs are... I don't know. I try to be a good person.
Yeah, I think that's about, does that count as a core value?
I don't know. They said, are you
Don't be an ass?
Yeah, that should be the value. Are you able to communicate your perspective in a respectful way, even when others may strongly disagree? Emotional security is associated with being authentic, knowing one's values, and acting in a way that's consistent with them in life situations. And I would say, I guess, yes to that question.
I do, and I think if anyone out there thinks I can't, screw you.
I'm with you on that one. How dare you disagree with me? Can you express negative emotions respectfully? So I guess what they're saying is...
Like without flipping a table?
Yeah, it means communicating your feelings in a respectful way that focuses on your internal experience. Often this is reflected by using I statements like I feel or I think instead of blaming others for your circumstances.
I probably can. My Achilles heel, though, is I'm really good with words. And I can kill you. With a sentence.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I do it.
And the best part is you do it in a way, and at times I'm able to. I'm not quite at the level of a verbal assassin as Johnny Molson is, but you do it in a way where you are assassinating them without them knowing it. They're oblivious to just how much they're getting just lambasted at that point.
It's like when Vladimir Putin injects some sort of radioactive thing into your neck and you don't realize it's happened until a week later and you start vomiting.
They walk away from the conversation and their friends go, dude, you just got owned.
Okay?
You just got owned. And they're like, well, yeah, exactly. Number 6, remember these are Harvard-trained psychologist questions that if you answer yes to any of them, you're more emotionally secure than most people. Number 6 is, can you take criticism from others? It all depends who the other is. If I respect you, I can take your criticism. If I think you are an idiot, then I can't take your criticism.
That's a good point. Most people with critiques are just idiots.
Yeah, right. Usually the people that critique things the most are the dumbest.
Right.
Do you continually strive to change and grow? I'd like to think yes, but I sometimes am stuck.
Grow into what? I was fine 30 years ago.
You know what? Now looking at it, yes. And my taste in food have grown, but my taste in movie, still a good fart joke's going to make me laugh. I haven't really gone past that.
I've been 100% right since I was 17.
Can you stop yourself from reacting impulsively? That's a difficult one for me. Of to actually take a step back, breathe for a moment before making the rash decision.
I thought you were talking about buying a candy bar or...
Yeah, well, emotionally secure people tend to be skilled at deliberately choosing their responses. What do I want? I tell you,
candy bar, porn, the Bible. I can't decide.
I'm not quite sure which one to go. I mean, the Bible's got Delilah's, but so does the porn.
That's right.
And finally, the last one is, do you trust that you'll be okay no matter what challenges come your way? I would hope that everyone would answer yes to that. Don't you have faith in yourself that no matter what transpires, you'll find a way to figure it out and be okay at the end of the day?
That's one of those life lessons where you've got to get knocked down a couple times, and then you go, oh, I didn't die.
Right.
And then you press on. Yeah.
And you go, I'm all right.
The first time it happens, you want to give up.
I think being being terrible with women for as long as I was really helped me with that last one of like, I go through rejection. I know it's going to be okay. There's another chance for me to get rejected again. I'll just, and being a Cubs fan for so many years also taught you that of like, you just keep trying. Eventually, maybe, just maybe, you'll get through.
That's another reason to live in the Midwest. You're good at adversity.
Yes, you really are. So I think, you know what? I feel better. I think hopefully you listening as well answered yes to more than one, and you feel better about yourself going into the weekend. And normally when I was younger, then I would be immediately knocked down because I would not speak to anyone at the bar and walk away and just stand in the corner with an overpriced drink. It is Mike Wimmacher and Johnny Molson with you. We'll take our last break of the show. Yeah, this gets you pumped up for your Friday. Boom, boom, boom. Mike, I know, Mike Wimmacher, and I should have queued up the Rebecca Black.
Yeah, you should have.
That's becoming one, though, I think, that you could say to a kid and they have no frame of reference.
The name Rebecca Black?
Yeah, I think that's starting to phase out. In that particular situation. Not one of the celebrities who are celebrating a birthday today, by the way. It is Mike Wimmacher, Johnny Molson with you, the final moments of a Friday edition of the program. But don't forget, the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast. A new episode will be dropping later on today, so make sure you like and subscribe. So here are the celebrities. I will give you the celebrity there, Johnny, and you will give me the age you think they are.
Okay.
We'll begin with Ted Lang from The Love Boat.
Oh, Ted Lang is, let's see, I'm going to put him at 74.
Very close. Ted Lang is 76 years old today.
Okay.
Happy birthday to Ted Lang, ladies and gentlemen. We move next.
Everybody's doing the finger guns right now.
That's right. Hey, that's a great GIF. I just used that over the weekend to someone. There's
Isaac?
the gift of the Isaac GIF where he turns around and he points at you. Yeah.
Who wouldn't want that kind of a bartender?
Heck yeah. Diane Keaton celebrating a birthday today. How old is Diane Keaton today?
82.
78.
Sorry, Diane.
So you're within the margin of error.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Yeah.
What is the margin of error, just so we can agree?
I will say within 5 years, I'll give you.
All right.
Next up is one Robert Duvall. This one shocked me on Robert Duvall.
Yeah. He's been around for a long time, so I think Duvall, I'm going to put him at 86.
Duvall is 93 today.
No kidding.
I was shocked when I heard Robert Duvall is 93.
He's been acting for a long time.
And Dabney Coleman turned 92.
93, I saw that.
Yeah. Earlier this week. So I was surprised. But Robert Duvall is one of those guys. Isn't he the quintessential that guy?
Duvall?
He's so good as a. Is it him or Ed Harris that is the greatest character actor of all time?
Ed Harris probably more so. I mean, Duvall, you associate him with The Godfather. His first role was in To Kill a Mockingbird. He's got so many iconic roles.
But he's never really been the guy that's carried the movie, though, right? He's always been the supporter. That's what I'm saying.
There's a couple, yeah.
So it's like, I think, but when I think of character actors,
sure,
that are like, when they're in a movie,
he's great.
They're going to be great, but they're also never the guy who carries the film. So I think it's either Duvall or Ed Harris, to me, are the quintessential that guy of where they've made a heck of a living and a heck of a career of just being so damn good in a supporting part.
Yeah, agreed.
And never really carried the movie. This one, I don't know if you'll have a point of reference, but people who know The Hills and know Jay Cutler will know Kristen Cavallari.
I don't have a point of reference.
Yeah, she was Jay Cutler's wife, but before that, she was in The Hills. She was the biggest protagonist of the show, The Hills. She turns 37. I don't think you'd have a point of reference on that.
Nope.
In the music genre, Marilyn Manson celebrating a birthday today. How old is one Marilyn Manson?
52.
You're very close. Marilyn Manson is 55.
55, okay.
And that's the thing that throws me. And we discussed it a little bit earlier this week, and I felt bad making people feel old because we went through movies and like songs that are turning 30 or 20 years old this year. When you start seeing these, like Marilyn Manson 55, guys from Pearl Jam pushing 60, and you're like, holy crap. But then it checks. You go back and you go, okay, if they're 28 when they hit it big, they kicked around for a while, and you do the math, you're like, son of a B.
Yeah.
That would be the age that they are. And the last one I have for you that you would have a point of reference for, Bradley Cooper. How old is Bradley Cooper today?
Boy, he's a guy who I think looks younger than he is.
Correct. This seems about right to me, though.
Yeah. My gut reaction was 48.
49.
49, okay.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper turns 49 years old today. He's getting a lot of the Golden Globes are, I believe, on Saturday.
Are they?
And he's up for the Maestro on Netflix, the Leonard Bernstein film that he stars in and he directed and everything else. So those are some of your celebrity birthdays. The one that threw me for a loop towards the end of the year was, and sometimes you read these and I got to make sure I double check and triple check because I'm like, sometimes in the show prep it's someone who's dead and they would be 93. Brad Pitt just turned 60.
Did he at 60? I think Clooney is up there too, right? Isn't he?
Right, yeah. So I'm assuming Clooney's older than Brad Pitt, right?
I think so, yeah.
I'll have to look.
I'll find out.
All right.
Real quick.
But when I saw that Brad Pitt was 60, I was like, Brad Pitt at 60 looks better than I ever have in my entire existence. And you go, that SOB.
Yeah, Clooney is 62.
Good Lord.
That's a handsome man.
It is. Talk about aging gracefully.
Yeah.
Those two SOBs. Good luck on them.
Did that once with somebody where they had, we were kind of like, hey, how old do you think I am? And there was a guy sitting across from me who was 65. And they goes, oh, you're probably like, 57 or 54 or something. And I was like, oh, I like this game. How old do you think I am? And the guy nailed it right on the head. I was like,
oh, wow.
What? Jeez.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that birthday. It was just a couple years ago when I met Jeremy Renner. And he told me I was looking good for how old I was. And then, of course, Renner had to come and say, well, do I look this? And you're like, no, you look younger than me, you SOB.
You look like a guy who's going to get eaten by a snowblower.
Right. Well, a year ago.
Yeah,
he's celebrating a year since that transpired. So God bless you, Hawkeye. I'm glad you're able to take care of that snowblower, which, by the way, we may be needing possibly early next week.
Oh,
if things go the way they're supposed to go. Of course, people will start freaking out. But keep it right here on WMAY. In case that were to happen, we will try to give you updates the best we can. Johnny, always a pleasure, my friend.
Likewise.
And if you took nothing away from today's show, use old phone numbers as passwords and scrambled or actually idiot eggs. So next time you go in